All right, so the biggest thing I should just explain this.
Yeah.
The biggest asset in my thing here is organization. I can go back into stuff from 15 years ago and get projects rebuilt, re-rendered, all that stuff, never lose anything. And that's because I use the same folder structure for everything. Artwork is for two-dimensional assets that don't have time involved. PNGs, non-moving GIFs, JPEGs, logos, vector files, anything that sits still but is two-dimensional goes into artwork, with the exception of merch designs and things like that where it's a Photoshop file that goes into project. Next up is footage. Footage is for anything time-based. Inside of footage I have audio files. I should, let me see if I have anything in my Google Drive here. Go to Drive. I gotta sign in. God. I just type it out. This is the #1 paste tool since 2001. So we got artwork, and I put everything in lowercase. I put artwork in lowercase, unless it's a brand name or a sketch name like Bill Griefer or Worlds, and I don't use punctuation. You don't put punctuation in your file names. Worlds, most comfortable man, you capitalize that, but everything else goes lowercase. That's so that your eye is not unnecessarily drawn to things as you're going through this through your files. Inside of artwork, I might have subfolders for logos, stock images, MISC. We might have that covers it for video stuff. Then you got footage. Inside footage, you got audio. Inside audio, you might have might call it mix pre if you have stuff from a mix pre. If you have it individual files, you could have one called lavs, one called boom. You could have music, SFX, all go into audio. You could have a MISC folder for stuff that doesn't fit in there. You could have a Envato folder for stock stuff that's downloaded from Envato, whatever. Also inside of footage you have camera captures, and then inside camera captures you would have A7S3, and I just, for OCD's sake, because it does matter, okay? I would prefer to use the nomenclature and the capitalization scheme that Sony uses, which is a lowercase a for the alpha symbol, A7S3. Why does that stuff matter? Because I've worked with people who title stuff like shit.
Shit one.
Fucked shit one. Final shit gloppity. And what that does to your brain, it's everything sends a subconscious signal, and even if not to you, to other people. And when I work with people who title stuff shit and fucking shit and final shit, globbity gloop, it just makes me think you're lazy, you're unorganized, you're probably making shit. I've never worked with anyone who really impressed me who titled stuff shit. And that's extremely common. Like mad people do, they call their project shit. Fucking go back to working at Target if you're gonna make your stuff called shit. Camera captures, you might have phone footage in there. You might have whatever your camera system is, camera captures. Then back in your footage folder, is this useful? Do you people care about this?
This is the most important thing that I've learned.
This was folder structure, and I can go back to MDE $1 Million Extreme Complete RISD Pilot. I can go back to 2007, and it's right here. Gagosian Redux outbox. For this sketch right here, I still have the C4D assets and like the entire folder structure from when I made it. And this is useful because it's not for this project, but at some point you're gonna have a project where you're gonna say, oh, I wanna reuse this asset, this sound, whatever. When you do that, if it's not name stuff, final, all this other world piece, we use that. That's for here. We got sometimes there'll be a folder called docs. If you have contracts, that's where you can put them. If you have font files that are specific to a project, you can put that in here. But docs is pretty rarely used. For world peace, we use that. That's for scripts to go into docs. But I usually don't make a docs folder. Next up, alphabetically, you got outbox. In the outbox, you have, that's just where you put your output files. You do not name stuff, final, all this other crap. You call it project name. I use a 3-letter code for every sort of project family. So for Mondo, it would be MON. For the MDE uploads on Gumroad or the old MDE stuff, it's MDE. For Fish Tank, it's FSH. For like Candyman, it's CD. For the Candyman, like merch, it was CDY. Streaming, STR. Do an underscore project name like this with no spaces. Capitalize the first letters here. And then this would be in your outbox. It would just be like .mp4 or whatever. And then if you have new versions, as you're making the versions, you call it R1 for revision 1, R2 for revision 2, R3 for revision 3. So you know just from one look here, you don't have to read the word final a bunch of times to figure out what the latest thing is here. That's your outbox. Then you got a preview folder. So along the way, we'll be outputting stuff, but it's not going to be high enough quality. It'll be low bit rate. It'll be non-final. So it'll be like underscore PRV in the preview folder. And you got underscore R1 underscore PRV. That's the preview for R1. And then sometimes, also in Outbox, you can put YouTube thumbnails. Put a folder in there called YouTube thumbnails. And then project, that's the big one. So inside a project, you got Premiere, you got After Effects, you got Photoshop, whatever program you're using. If it's a long title, you could put just the capital letters, or if it's Premiere, it's faster to just type Premiere. You just type PR too. That's Adobe how they abbreviate it. And then inside your project folder, you have underscore old. You put the underscore there so that it alphabetizes before everything else. Anything old goes in there. You got, and then you have your, come on, it keeps pulling my mouse focus. I don't know why it does it. So inside of here, you would have your, literally, what the fuck? str underscore project name. And then this is very important. You have 01. And the next thing you would do is you would do 02. You do iterative saving. And that's because if you fuck this project file up so badly that it's unusable, which happens, you either make changes that are bad and irreversible, or you fill it with so much stuff that it will no longer open, which is common with Adobe software. If you have very complex projects, you can get to a point where the size of the project file itself, which should be small because it's just a bunch of like hyperlinks and variables, you can make these like 40 megabytes, and that's the point where it starts to glitch out when you try to open it. So you do iterative saving, and the iterative saving is a reason why you don't use the quick menu when you open the software. When it says, "Hey Sam, would you like to, let's get you started," to that menu, the menu that's designed to be easy for you. "Hey Sam, let's get started and make some magic today." And then it shows you your recent projects. That list of recent projects doesn't update if the software crashes. And the software crashes enough to the point where you can no longer use that recent project menu reliably, because you'll open something and you'll think that it's the most recent. You'll open project 02, but all the work that you did and saved in Project 03 is no longer in that project, and you won't realize it until you're down this tangent. So the recent project menu is just a trap for you to get fucked up and kill you. So that's your project folder. And then what's after that? I think that's it, actually. So artwork, footage, docs, outbox, preview, project. And when I'm actually doing this in Windows Explorer, I make these lowercase. You don't want capital letters grabbing your eye and making you think something's more important than it is. That's the rationale for that. So that's the biggest time-saving tool that I have found. That's one of my secrets here. I'm about to show you another one of my secrets is final post-processing stuff. So we're back in...
Get some chats first.
Yeah. I gotta piss also.
We got arcade.